Um, but I just want to start off by welcoming everybody to our annual ESCO Business Networking event, and special welcome to the guys from the US, from the guys from the US embassies. It's great to have you guys here. I would also like to mention a special thank you to our partners who have made it possible for us to have such an incredible event. But a special thank you to Michael Broom and the Amamex team for assisting in setting this whole thing up. Also, another special thank you to Met Mbanga and Michael Passaportes that are going to be on the panel discussion. So they will do the Matt is going to do the introduction of our panel. So thank you so much. I think I must say, so was it earlier this year, Matt, when we arranged this? It was actually a few months ago. So I was having a chat with Matt about, as you know, some of you may know, last year we had a very successful event at the Blue Bulls, very much in partnership with the Blue Bulls, very much geared towards high performance. Obviously, high performance on the field for the Blue Bulls and high performance in the boardroom for our members. So really, I think following on to that theme of high performance, the fact that Matt and Dennis being on the field, they were forced to really get into that high performance under fire. And I think we can certainly learn a lot from the experiences that they had from the battlefield and how that can be translated into the boardroom. So thank you so much for that, Matt and Dennis, for flying all the way from the US. But long story short, I got out of Matt and we were talking about high performance, and he says, "Oh, I'm amazed with a few of the guys that are in the special forces." Then I said, "Hey, would they be interested in coming for an event for us?" And he's like, "Well, give me a few days." And he spoke to them, and the guys were super keen. So really special. And I think obviously we've got some of our members here and some guys that are not part of the S group. So I think I'll do a very brief introduction of what the S group is about, without even going into exactly into the sort of nitty-gritties of what the S group is about. One of the best ways of explaining what happens on the S group is really by some of the stories that have happened through our members collaborating with one another. There's so many amazing stories. So Sparkly, just before COVID, is one of the stories that I would like to start off with. So Sparkly, just before COVID, I got a call, I think it was on a Sunday night at about 6 o'clock. One of our members say that his little niece is on life support, needs urgent heart surgery in Johannesburg. And at the time, they had closed, they were not allowed to fly in from Zimbabwe because of the COVID lockdown. So they were desperate. If nothing had happened, if the little girl had not come to South Africa, she would have most probably died. So at 6 o'clock, I get a call. I posted on the group and said, "Guys, this is what the situation is. Can anybody please assist?" Sparkly was very quick to call me, and he said, "Look, let me see what I can do." Long story short, the following day, Sparkly got the Minister of Health, Minister of Home Affairs, the DGs all involved, and the little girl is about 7 now. Huh? Yeah, they were able to fly in and everything worked out. So I mean, it's just incredible it's an incredible testimony of what the S group is about. So that's more of like a life story of how we help one another. There's other incredible examples. So our last event, we had a few of our members give testimonies of their experience on the S group. One of the guys, Paulo, he's an entrepreneur and an investor in a few different things, but mostly in hospitality and property. And he was talking about how through the network, he's been able to do business with the guys, obviously, whether it be in South Africa or overseas, but also when his travels, he was talking about going to Portugal, the UK, and I'm forgetting the other place. But because our network is so worldwide, almost every single place that he was traveling to had one of our members, and he was able to to network and continue building relationships with those guys. I think in closing, it's really just once again to acknowledge our incredible partners, Exness, Amomax, City Glass and Aluminium, Airlink, Fitch and Leeds, and Embassy Direct. We really appreciate your guys' support over the years. I think many of you guys have been with the S Group, have been in partnership with us for over the last 3-4 years. And I would like to call upon Michael Broom from Amomax, as well as Terence Hove, to just say a few words about what their business is about. Thank you very much. So Michael and Terence.
Thanks, Trond, and thank you for this opportunity. It's been so far an incredible day, and I'm really looking forward to what these guys have to say, so I'm boring by comparison. Our business is not bulletproofing vehicles, really. What we do is we offer freedom and possibility. And what drives us is the amazing country that we live in, with incredible opportunity, diversity, culture, beauty, but unpredictability. And much like in the boardroom and on the battlefield, in situations like that, preparedness and contingency can be your best ally, and that's essentially what we do. And if I just ask you a question, if there's ever anything that you've been scared to do, or haven't done, or a place you don't want to take your kids to, how different would your life be if fear wasn't a factor? What decisions would you make differently, even in business? And that's very much what we want people to aspire to, is to live fully, not be scared, and do it in a way that our product integrates seamlessly into your life. Sometimes the best wins that we have and the best obstacles biggest obstacles we've overcome are the things that people don't see. And we know that everyone fights a battle, and nobody sees what happens behind the lines. And very much the same concept with our vehicles. You do life, we just keep you safe. And we take care of all the details and the mess. So you're welcome to come chat to myself, my colleague James, at any stage. We do have one of our vehicles outside. It's got a few stickers on, you might not see it, and see what we do. Please enjoy that. Cheers.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you very much, Tondi. And yeah, my name is Terence from Exness, Senior Financial Market Strategist. Some of you, we have the privilege to call you our client. And what is it that we do over at Exness? We are a multi-asset brokerage firm. So we offer liquidity to traders, retail traders. We also have different aspects of institutional clients, but that's a different offering. But the main focus has been retail traders, which is individuals like yourselves trading for yourself. The products that we offer, contract for differences, called CFDs. We are one of the largest, if not the largest, globally. We just don't go around mentioning it or making noise about it in earnest. But the numbers are there, audited as well, in terms of the institutional flow that we actually do handle. Over the years, we recently celebrated 15 years of being in business. That was in 2023. So we have been around for a very long time, and we are growing considerably across Africa. South Africa, by nature, is one of our key markets. Our HQ here in Africa is based in Cape Town. But across the region, I've got my two colleagues, Tosin. He actually is the commercial director for Nigeria, which we would call in our space an established market because of the sheer size that it has grown to be. And Dean Muller as well, who handles client relationships out of the Cape Town office as well. So people will ask, well, Terence, what can Exness offer me relative to the other broker? I think ultimately to the conversation that we're having this afternoon, or I was having with Roland, it's people. Individuals like myself, I hope I'm easy to speak to and to share ideas. I try to guide our clients on where the market is going, try to share some insights which inherently assist them in trading better. And across that, we've got similar individuals in different parts of the team that are assisting our clients to make sure that their trading journey is very exciting and successful as well, including the systems that back that up relative to the competition as well. Typically, people ask deposits and withdrawals. Well, we try to make sure that those are very seamless for our clients. Like we always say internally, your money is your money. When you want your money, you need to get it. We've got various channels in which you'll be able to access that money, including crypto as well. Of course, we do offer crypto in terms of trading, amongst other products. But chiefly, I think a lot of clients quite enjoy trading gold. I think it's the nature of the product, of the commodity. So if you're not yet a client, we are around. Come have a conversation with us. Even if you're not looking to be a client and you just want to have a conversation around financial markets, happy to have that conversation, happy to be here and to interact with you during this afternoon. Thank you very much.
So I think in closing, so we have the panel discussion after, so we're going to have a quick 10 minutes of some things, some drinks and some food to eat, and then we'll start with the panel discussion. But guys, I would really like to encourage you. We've got people from different businesses, from mining to retail to financial services. So move around a little bit, introduce yourself to someone different. That at the end of the day, this event is all about networking, building friendships, and finding ways where we can collaborate. So thank you very much. We will be having a quick bite, and then soon after that, we'll then do the panel discussion. If you want drinks, you've got drinks right here by the bar, or you can order the drinks from the waiters. So really looking forward to the panel discussion, and thank you very much, guys. Thank you for coming.
Good afternoon, friends. It's a really great privilege to be able to be here with you. We just had a couple of little sort of side conversations and speaking about much bigger themes, much bigger things than business, than our day-to-day kind of struggles and all of this. We're here to speak about life, and we're here to connect at a much deeper level. So I'm really thrilled through my friendship with Tondi and with these gentlemen behind me to be able to come here, meet with you, break bread, kind of lean into this big picture thing. And so I'm not sure I've lost this lady, and I were just speaking about her 16-year-old son, and she was kind of saying she's struggling with this young man, 16 years old. He's pushing back. He doesn't know what to do, where he is, that kind of thing. And I said, it's the struggle, the battle that we are all facing, that our young men and women are facing today, is one of validation. They don't know if they have what it takes. They've never been tested. They've never been tried. They've never truly faced adversity and had to experience major sort of pressure and problems to learn that they do have what it takes to overcome adversity, come through that, and realize, because once we do that, friends, there is peace, nothing to prove, nothing to fear, nothing to hide. That's the goal in life. And so what I've had the privilege of learning from these guys and doing, as we've kind of gone through the last several years, Michael and I were at school together. These guys I was at university in Texas, and we've started to run these camps and do these things over in the States and all around sort of Southern Africa. But it's a really special privilege to be able to have these guys. We don't normally do this format. We're normally out in the field. We love experiential learning. We love to test people and allow people to experience and validate their truth, that they would discover by doing that I do have what it takes. I am capable, and then anything becomes possible once you start to believe that. So it's great to be here with my friends, Matt Haidt. So Matt was a former Navy SEAL, 23 years as a Navy SEAL, still lives in Coronado, California. Over the last several years, Matt and I have run a lot of camps for young men, and it's been a great privilege to see the way that Matt lives, the way that he carries himself. I hope this afternoon you're going to get a glimpse of some of the stories that I've had the privilege of listening to and seeing in action with these young men, and helping men learn how to fight, learning how to believe that they do have what it takes so that they can find that peace and that purpose and that validation in their lives. Dennis Price is a slightly newer friend. I have not known Dennis as long as I've known Matt. But Dennis and I got together with our families last year in Texas, and our kids were, riding horses and jet skiing and having a great sort of time. But we were talking about our passion, our shared passion for unlocking potential in people, for fighting for the hearts of people all over the world. Because I don't know if you guys have been paying attention, but the world is in crisis at the moment. We are in a crisis. And so to be able to be running in to houses that are on fire and rescuing people and reaching out and fighting for the hearts of men and women who are literally drowning, who have been overcome by adversity. It's been a great privilege to kind of see and hear and share and do life a little bit with Dennis. And you're going to be blown away by some of his stories and some of the stuff that he's done and is still doing. He continues to do this stuff. He's been in 2 war zones in the last 45 days, rescuing gunshot victims, helping people escape ballistic missiles. He said that was a first for him. He's been mortared before, but now being in Israel a couple of weeks ago was his first time being ballistic missiled. That's quite a hectic experience.
Check off.
So, and then Michael Passaportis, Dr. Michael Passaportis is a performance psychologist working with private clients, working with corporates, and I think we're gonna try and weave through all of this. So, battlefield experience and kind of the neuroscience. You're gonna get a little bit of kind of the science at the end, but I know that you're all itching to hear some stories. So I'm gonna just ask Matt to kind of kick us off with one of the first stories that I heard from him about training. Because obviously the Navy SEALs, I think what we all know, we watched the movies and that's all that cool stuff, but really what sets the Navy SEALs apart is their training. It's that training that we've all seen in the videos, and we kind of see them on the beach and getting washed over by the waves with the logs on their chests and that kind of stuff. And it's that training that equips them to be able to have courage under fire. It's that training, that preparation, because like we've been discussing, is that in that moment, in that environment, when your life is on the line, you don't rise to the level of your aspirations, you sink to the base level of your preparations. And so friends, what your teams need, what you need is preparation. What you need is courage under fire. Not when it comes, not if it comes, but it is coming. We're experiencing it already. So from today, from right now, it's a decision that you make, that your teams make, to train well, to practice like you play, to be ready to perform at a high level when that pressure, when the waves start to come and wash over you. So Matt, I want to ask you to just kind of share that story. You had quite a brutal sort of a baptism, still in training early on, where you had a pretty rough experience.
Right. Yeah. So early on, this was taking place at Harvey Point. Maybe you guys, some of you familiar with that place in North Carolina. We were doing this close quarters combat training. So essentially entering buildings and shooting, attacking people indoors like this. And we do this with live ammunition. And in this particular case, this is the first time I'd ever done this. It was, it's a very overwhelming experience, kind of learning how to move just in the right way. And it's a very intricate dance where, if this happens, you do that. If that happens, you do this. And these decisions have to be made very quickly. And then, of course, as threats arise, you have to be there and prepared to, engage those threats immediately and super accurately. It's very, very important to do so. And so we're, as we're going through this training, and I'm very new, and I'm thinking, there's something missing. There's something wrong here. I wasn't sure what it was. I couldn't put my finger on it. But I'm like, there's something that we're not learning that we need to know. And it was kind of just bothering me, but I was so new. I'm like, well, gosh, I'm not even sure I can articulate this. And furthermore, I'm like, I don't want to, you're a new guy. You don't want to kind of ruffle feathers, kind of rock the boat. You want to, okay. So anyway, we're kind of end of the day, last run of the day, guys, kind of whenever you hear that, like, hey, complacency, right? This is kind of the thing that automatically kicks in. And, we're lined up in this hallway. We're waiting to go in and do this, move into this room. And I'm standing next to, the whole platoon is there. It's like 16 of us. And, only 4 guys are going in at a time. And so I wasn't going to be able to go into this particular one. So we're kind of wrapped around this hallway and kind of waiting. We're all kind of stacked up. And The guys go in ahead of us, shot rings out, and the guy right next to me collapses on the ground. And I'm like, oh my gosh, when you see this, when you see that kind of, he just, this awkward collapse, his legs just gave out. And, I was a medic. I've been through the Green Berets, Army Special Forces Medical Sergeant course. I had just gotten through that training. So, but I'd never had a live wounded patient. It was all kind of, simulated up to that point, but here it was. And it wasn't just some person, that you kind of meet on an ambulance. This was a good friend. And he immediately told me, hey, Matt, I can't feel my legs. And as I saw him collapse, you could tell that, there's a spinal injury involved in this. And he was, kind of like this. This bullet kind of entered under his arm, just barely missed his body armor, and went into his chest cavity and then went into his spine. And so as I'm kind of taking off my gear and getting down there to expose this wound, one of the training guys comes up and and says to the guy who took the first shot. Now this shot took place through a wall, so these were not ballistically prepared walls. As it turned out, the guy took a shot at a target that didn't have a bullet trap. Because typically you have these bullet traps. You're shooting at the target. There's no bullet trap. It's just a piece of wood. Target slapped on there at the end of a hallway, and there was no ballistic coating on the interior walls of this kill house at Harvey Point. And so went through the target, went through the wall, went through my buddy. And so this was kind of what I was like, okay, this was the trepidation that I had. This was the lack of understanding that the training had been incomplete. And then, of course, as I'm treating him, the training guy comes up and says, hey, I told you to wait. I told you to stop, to the guy that took the shot. Well, the way that this works is there's 4 people that go in the room. The training guy is the 5th guy, and he squeezes the 4th guy, and that squeeze gets passed up. So for him to say, I told you to stop, is ridiculous. I mean, he was clearly covering, oh my gosh, I'm in trouble. This is going bad. I need to immediately do something to protect myself. And so I'm sort of absorbing this as I'm down there, exposing this wound, treating this guy, and realizing, oh my gosh, my good friend is going to be paralyzed probably for life. And, he had, a sucking chest wound, which is also potentially life-threatening right there, so we had to deal with that to save his life immediately. But even still, I knew, hey, I think we can handle this, but his paralysis is going to be permanent. And it was a real lesson, for the whole platoon to see that, hey, the training we were getting wasn't what we needed. We weren't as prepared as we should have been. And you saw, when things went bad, people who knew that they were responsible immediately started interjecting themselves into the situation in order to kind of like defray their culpability for having, done that.
And I think that's a common error. That's what we've all experienced. That's what we've all faced. When we're under fire, when things go bad, suddenly the blame game begins. Instantly, the blame game. Who's responsible? Oh, and people start pointing fingers. And so the trouble with that is that in that environment, nobody feels safe. Okay, so for you guys to go back into that room and repeat that exercise, I mean, how was that, knowing that your buddy's paralyzed for life? Nobody feels safe. So for you and your organization, if you start allowing people to point fingers and blame instead of extreme ownership, something went wrong, everybody puts their hands up, everybody finds what they personally could have done better. And that's a key thing that I've learned just from being around these guys for the last couple of years, is that extreme ownership, that you don't blame. Because when you start blaming, then everybody feels that they have to put on more armor. And you suddenly, if you imagine going into combat with all sorts of extra armor, clunky, and it's now inefficient to walk around on the battlefield, to walk around in your office, ready to protect yourself because you don't know who's going to pick on you, who's going to blame you. And so don't do that. That's the most inefficient thing. Number one, when you are under fire, when things go badly, don't blame. Don't point fingers. Matt, how did you guys then kind of prepare? What was your response to then prepare to then spend, that was early on, you then spent another 20 years.
Yeah.
In
Well, they changed, I mean, you know, to be honest, I mean, this incident really, like I said, I was very early in the teams at this point. And, you know, we did save his life, but, you know, this guy is permanently disabled as a result of this. And that really, like, you know, you understand, I guess you understand, hey, I'm a Navy SEAL, like, this job is dangerous, haha. You know, everybody, but then this happens in front of you, and you're like, oh, this is, oh. People die in training. Like this, I was standing right next to him. I could have been shot in this situation. He didn't do anything wrong. He's just standing next to a wall. He gets shot. I could have been there. It could have been a fatal situation. And so this changed my whole life. Like I really gave my life to the Lord as a result of this this situation, because it really kind of caught me in a place where I had to sort of understand, like, okay, well, if this is the level that we're playing at, I need to be prepared, you know, eternally for what's about to happen. And so, you know, it changed the whole trajectory of my life, having to go through that situation with Mark, and yeah, so it was a big deal.
Thank you, man. We appreciate you.
Yeah,
thank you. So, Dennis, same question, same story. Your level of preparation. What kind of allowed you to then go and do what you do? You know, still, so 18 years as a Special Forces Marine Recon Sniper, still enlisted. I mean, you're still in, right? You've got another 18 months, I think you said?
Yes.
Until you retire. So kind of, you're still going, but you've kind of changed tack a little bit. You're no longer going to the front lines carrying weapons, but you're still running to the front lines. What's the motivation there? What does your preparation for that look like?
Yeah. So, as you said, I did 18 years in special operations all throughout various different realms. In the Marine Corps, Force Recon, Scout Sniper, Ranger. I did some time at JSOC, did multiple units in different special operations. But each time, you know, each large event, each large wicket, badge, everything like that was another test and trial and tribulation to build resiliency, you know, not just mental, emotional, and spiritual as well, is overcoming the next big hurdle. So as we spoke earlier, you know, it's the best way I try to describe it, and it's not just in the military and special operations, but like in everyday life of people, is resiliency and challenging yourselves and doing the next big hard thing. So like I try to equate it in my head to like forging a sword. And so when you grab iron and you stick it in the coals and the embers and it heats up, and then you beat it relentlessly and you beat it in a shape. That is the trials and tribulations that we go through. And then you cool it down, you get through that next one, and then you heat it back up and it pounds away until it folds more and more until it eventually becomes steel. There's no difference between us out on the office, us, you know, on the battlefield, or now what I do, you know, I rescue either trafficked children out of anywhere from the globe in the United States, and then people who are being left behind at either enemy lines or being human rights violation. So, like, you know, when Matt said, I just got back from Israel, I pulled out 92 Americans who were left behind in Tel Aviv and Jerusalem, and you know, hypersonic missiles were happening, but all of that. And then the Afghan evacuation, when America left abruptly, we left our own behind. So I went in from Tajikistan, swam across the Panjshir Valley, and pulled out 77 Americans who we left behind. So I did that by not just waking up one day and saying I was going to. Yes, I did do that part, but all that preparation in the meantime led it to being comfortable, that care and comfort under fire, having and trusting, you know, on my experience, just as Matt said, you don't rise, and you can never rely on rising to the occasion, but you'll fall to the lowest level of your training. But that's why I stressed at the beginning and saying that's why every day you have to wake up and do something hard. Pound away and strengthen yourself, strengthen your skills, mental attitude, physical, everything from that, so that you become a better person of tomorrow. And it doesn't matter if it's at your job as management, as sales, or whatever. How do you be a better person than you are today? You don't have to be the best person in the office, but to be one better person you are today. So if you do that through a lifetime, when I found out a crisis and I felt called by God to go and do that, that lifelong of just beating and beating, we were able to do truly a God's miracle and pull out all those people. And now that's what we do. Pretty much wherever there's a tragedy and it shocks the people, overwhelms the government, we step in that void and use the gifts and talents that we are all given to be the hands and feet for the people who need it. Truly blessed by God to do so.
Yeah, amazing. So Dennis has actually just been nominated for a congressional gold medal for his work in helping so they actually evacuated 17,000 people in the end out of Afghanistan. So just an incredible sort of a thing. So all of this, friends, what's going on? What's this all about? Why are you part of the S group? Why are you part of this network? What is this all about? People inherently, every single one of us, as we've spent time together, as we've discussed, what does mankind need? What are we after? It's about belonging. It's about being seen and loved, being able to be brave, having our moment on the stage to know that this is what I was gifted to do, what I was made to do, and I'm doing it, and I'm at the top of my game. Isn't that what took you to where you are now? It's this desire to be brave, to be seen and loved, to belong, and to believe in something bigger than yourself. That's what's driven me my entire life. It was not enough to just be on the A team, but I had to be the captain. I had to lead the team out. I felt this kind of compulsion to be all that I could be. And these are great things, but when you strip all that away, when I lost that kind of position and popularity and power through a drunken motorcycle accident and 5 days in a coma and 5 months lying on my stomach and permanent disability, and started to kind of connect with men that were like me, that had experienced trauma and tragedy and were prepared to turn and give of themselves, to offer their strength on behalf of those that need it. We began to understand that the way that the world typically works, and maybe your company works like this, and we need to help you to turn that around. As most people will say, hey, behave the way that we want you to behave, and believe what we want you to believe. Then you can, and we want you to be brave as well. Be brave, come early, go home late, sacrifice your family on the altar of success. And then you will belong. Then you will be seen and loved. And so it's backwards. Friends, what we need to be saying to each other is, hey, I see you. I like what I see. You have what it takes. You belong. You're the real deal. Then people will start to be brave. They will start to sacrifice for you. They will start to serve you. They will come early. They will leave late. Then they will start to believe in you and in the company and in your vision and in all the things that you stand for. Then they will behave differently. So we've got it backwards. You see that? It's exactly backwards. We start with behavior, but what people really need is belonging. And so I feel with these guys, as we sort of spend time, I'm not a veteran. I've never been in combat. But I can see the same traits, the same skills, the same story throughout every one of their stories, throughout all of our lives. And so what we feel like we need to do is to come and serve our fellow mankind. Heroes for Humanity is the name of Dennis's charity. And that's what we need. The world needs heroes, needs leaders that are prepared to serve, prepared to lay down their lives. Friends, before I hand over and I'm hoping that Michael can help wrap up and just bring us kind of the neuroscience, what's really taking place here, and help us, how do we do this? How do we replicate the training and the principles that we've inculcated into our being? How do we sort of do that and sustain high performance amidst the trials and tragedies of this world? As I wrap up, I want to say that, friends, here in Africa, in the next 20 years, there's going to be another 1 billion people. Here where we are right now, the continent of Africa is going to give birth to another 1 billion people in the next 20 years. We're going to be around to see that. I think all of us here are going to be around to see that. We already can't feed ourselves. We're already the hungriest, the poorest, the lowest levels of education, the lowest levels of employment. What is that going to look like? I don't think we need more food necessarily. I don't think we need more jobs necessarily. What we need is more leaders. leaders will transform, or leaders will respond. Leaders that are courageous, that are compassionate, that are creative, collaborative, and committed to this problem, to this continent, that will transform the continent of Africa. It's either our greatest tragedy, the greatest human tragedy the world has ever seen, 1 billion hungry, uneducated, unemployable, hungry people, or it's the world's greatest opportunity. This incredible young, passionate, committed workforce that is motivated and inspired and ready to solve the problems that lie before us. What we need is leaders. And you are that. You have the opportunity now to empower, to inspire, to equip a generation of young men and women to take us into that future. So, Michael, thank you very much.
Sure.
I hope that you can. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. Firstly, thank you to Matt and Dennis for sharing their incredibly powerful stories. I think, from my perspective, being a performance psychologist, someone who studies and tries to understand how we perform, what's required mentally when we perform, I'm just going to touch on that and some of the key kind of skills that we look to build in people so that they're able to execute when it's required, when everything's on the line, and when they show up. And I've been in professional sport for 20 years, so 10 as an athlete myself, and then a further 10 years studying, researching, and working in elite talent systems, elite sports systems, trying to understand what separates the good from the great. And if I distill that time down, something that I'm able to stand here and say with a lot of conviction is that at the elite level, at the top of the top, it's not down to talent, it's not down to technique, it's not down to skill. It's down to who is able to show up and who is able to execute. When the pressure's on, when you're required to, when everything is on the line, who is able to take that training, that preparation, that well-rehearsed skills, and let it flow freely. And really that's all in the mind, that's mental. And that's the area where I kind of work in. It's what are the core skills that we need to be able to build so that you can execute when you need to. And the core pillars of that mindset, that mind frame that you need to be able to execute, they're the same, regardless of whatever domain it is. So whether you're a rugby player, whether you're a surgeon, or whether you're a business executive needing to make strategic decisions, the pillars of performance are the same. Okay, it's that ability to get your head out of your own way so that you're able to execute what you've practiced and what you've prepared for. And really simply, we need to kind of narrow this down into a couple of core kind of takeaways. And for me, the framework that I use it's around mental fitness, where the FIT part of that is an acronym, and it stands for focus, inspiration, and trust. And those are the three core skills that we need to develop for you to be able to perform when it really counts. And so I'll just very, very briefly, if I've got time, just quickly run through those. So focus is an umbrella term for concentration and for attention. And what we're wanting to build there is two core skills. So the first is attentional awareness. Where does your mind go? What thoughts, what triggers your mind? When you're under pressure, where is it going to? And the second part of that is attentional control. Are you then able to redirect your mind to where it needs to be right now, to the task in front of you, to the performance cues that you need to take in to be able to do your job? And we work across kind of two broad spectrums there. So the first is the direction of your attention. Is it internal or is it external? And then how broad is it? So is it wide or is it narrow? And really what we want is intentional flexibility. Can you put your attention across those different dimensions when you need to, regarding on what the task kind of demands from you? And to use an example, to use a rugby example, let's say we take Andre Pollard in the semi-final, when he's playing England. He now needs to step up and he needs to make that penalty. So there, he needs to have a really narrow focus of attention. It needs to be really direct on the ball. I've got to get this ball over the post. It also needs to be internal. He needs to be focused on himself. Can he bring his breath down? Can he relax himself? That's what he needs. The moment that kicks over, he's now going to switch.
He's now got to lead the team. He's got to call the plays. His attention needs to be broad. He needs to be taking in what his teammates are doing, what the opposition is doing. His attention needs to be outside of himself. And that's the ability that we're training through focus. Are you first, do you have the self-awareness? When the pressure is on, where does your mind default to? When you're aware of that, you can then start to work to redirect it. So that's the first one, that's focus. The second one touches on, I think what Matthew so eloquently spoke about, and that's inspiration. And in performance, we want to dig down into the reason why you do what you do. What's your reason that's bigger than simply your performance outcome? And that's crucial. That's really, really important to understand. Because if we don't have that, we tend to focus on the outcome. We get really, really fixated on when's my next promotion, or what's this big financial gain that I can get. And we tend to wrap our identity up in that so that we then are our performance. While that sounds good because we'll be dedicated, it's actually really unoptimal for performance because you're creating more expectation of yourself. You're putting more pressure. So what we do with focus is we dig down into your values. What do you value as a person that's bigger than the job that you do? And then, how do you want to be remembered? Not for what you achieved, but for who you were and how you behaved. How do those people you led, how are they going to talk about you? And when we have that understanding, you now know who you are and why you're showing up. And that changes your performance from something that you need to achieve to just a further expression of yourself. So your job is one area where you can express the person that you are. And the outcome then changes from a test of your worth or a showing of your worth to instead being a further expression of who you are. So that's inspiration. And the last one is trust. And trust is all about that moment of execution. Okay, so when you need to perform, mind out of the way so that your body can do what it knows to do. Okay, it's a simple but really, really difficult skill of trusting yourself, trusting your training, trusting your preparation, and getting your mind out of the way so that everything you've worked on is able to be executed. The problem with that is the way our minds work. The moment we attach something, the moment we tag something as important, the analytical part of our mind now wants to step in. It wants to take control. It wants to mitigate risk. The problem with that is it's really, really detrimental to performance. That's the opposite of what we want. So it's about getting your mind out of your own way, trusting that you're prepared, trusting that you know what to do. And I think that's a very simple framework, but the key message for me is that these aren't superhuman skills. These aren't things that some people have and others don't. This is mental preparation. It's a part of how we train, it's a part of how we prepare. Anybody can be taught these skills. Anybody can master these. So anybody can take control of their own performance. I work with athletes, they're very, very used to preparing their bodies. You know, they've got to do fitness, they've got to do strength, they've got to do skills. Not so used to having to work on their mind and having to work on how they mentally approach things. But yeah, that's kind of it in the summary. So hopefully there were some parallels there between how we actually perform and kind of the outcomes that we get.
Thank you, Michael. So friends, thank you so much for giving us a reason to come to Johannesburg. It's been a great privilege to meet with you. This is not a typical format that we use. We love to be outdoors. We love to for it to be experiential. You were at the gun range earlier with some of you. That was cool. But we love a kind of a deeper dive because at the heart of it, people want to be seen. They want to be loved. They want to know that they belong. I really want to encourage you as you go back to your teams that you would go and lead well, that you would let people feel seen, communicate to them that they belong, pull them in, and they will serve you, they will die for you, they will sacrifice for you, but it starts with belonging. Thank you so much to the guys for coming out here. I hope that we can do this again, and I hope that we can continue this journey as you guys lead the way. Go and continue to serve and to make us proud because we need leaders in Africa. So thank you all. Continue to lead well. Okay. We've got a couple of minutes for Q&A before we head for the airport. Does anyone have any questions for any of the guys? Yes, ma'am.
Hey, so the work that I do is predominantly with children. We come from an environment where it's not natural for women to lead, it's not natural for girls to have a voice. So it's important. A big part of what we do is obviously not only the sport element and the education element, it's taking them to the next step. So how do you break through that barrier? Because it's cultural as well as emotional as well as traditional, where there is a barrier for leadership, for girls or for women particularly. So how would we break that ceiling for them?
So, Michael, how do you feel about having that one? You want to start there? I've got something to add, but
You've got the hot potato, Michael.
I've got that. Thank you. So I think what you're saying is that they don't have any role models anyone to look up to on how to lead. Is the barrier that they don't want to, or they just don't know how?
They just don't know how, because all they know is to be subservient. So we're breaking those barriers. You know, you're referring to 1 million unemployed, a billion. Like that's a big number. So what we're doing on the ground is changing that narrative and changing the mindset of the girls.
Yes.
From a leadership perspective. So it's not that they don't want to. It's just the background that they come from. Traditionally, is subservient. It's not leadership. It's not, I can speak up and I'll get the respect in the room. No. That's definitely not the case, because the girls come from very violent backgrounds and traditionally male-dominated backgrounds, but toxic male as opposed to a positive male influence.
I think so. If we want to break it down to a scientific kind of basis, for me it's sounding like self-efficacy. So they don't have the self-efficacy or the self-belief to go into lead. And so that how we build self-efficacy, there's 4 kind of key pillars. The first is vicarious experiences. So seeing someone like yourself do that. So a recommendation would be to, if you can find powerful, influential women leaders to come and they can see something of themselves in someone that perhaps they have never seen that picture before. They don't know what it looks like. So if you can scaffold that and kind of show them that themselves. The second is reflecting on past experiences or past successes. We can draw on where we've done well to help us to feel more confident and believe more in what we can do in the future. So highlighting any instances where perhaps they have stepped up and led, draw attention to that. You see what you did there? You led everyone. You can do this. So reinforce that kind of behavior. And then verbal persuasion. So encouragement, it's really as simple as that. Tell them a different story that they haven't heard before. You can do this. You are worth this. There is space for you here, and you can embody this one. I think that would be some really kind of simple steps, but for me, I think the most powerful would be that vicarious experience. Can you show them people that can give them a different picture that they've never seen before?
Thank you. At the back there, and then in the front.
Hi. Thanks. So my name's Tendai. I'm working in the leadership development space at the intersection of leadership development, as you speak about leadership, and men's mental health advocacy at this intersection. I'm curious to know that, I've been sharing a lot about my own particular mental health journey, and, in a world, I think, that's very, putting a lot of pressure around the type of masculinity that shows up in leadership spaces, which I'm sure you are sort of familiar with. I've heard you speak, and I think there is a certain embracing of vulnerability and authenticity that is lacking in the leadership space today. So for those of us who are in the work of essentially growing leaders, could you give us maybe some grounding insight around what should we be thinking about when it comes to helping men to embrace, particularly young boys, right? They grow up with this boys don't cry and then just be a man, and with so much of this, psychosocial realities in South Africa in particular, and I think globally more generally, right? How do we ground some of these lessons? Because a lot of the people who need some of this empowerment work are not in this room. We have access to them, and it's so. What message can we take from here, and what insights can we take to be able to sincerely and authentically ground some of this wisdom of embracing your true self, breaking through the barriers and the social barriers around the toxic form of masculinity, and embracing, I guess, a healthier, more connected, more vulnerable form of leadership more generally. Thank you.
Brilliant. Thank you very much. So I think it's kind of two extremes. We have obviously the toxic hyper-masculinity that kind of need to dominate and to prove that I am the man, or we have passivity. We have men that just check out, kind of feel invalidated. I don't belong, I don't have what it takes, and so they just check out and are passive. And so that's what we've been left with, is these two extremes. And what we actually need is authentic masculinity. I'm sad that I hadn't met you before, because I almost would have planted that question. That's exactly the question I was hoping that someone, because that's the space that we work in, and we've kind of realized that if we can help the men be authentic, nothing to prove, nothing to fear, nothing to hide, there is this peace that comes, and then men can offer their strength. That allows women to then be women and be free, to no longer feel that they're being judged or they have to be subservient or do whatever. They can just be themselves, and so everybody wins if men would start by offering their strength on behalf of those that need it. And so we're going tonight to run 2 camps in Zimbabwe for 17-year-old men, 100 17-year-old boys, and teaching them how to lead like this, how to be vulnerable, how to offer their strength, and ultimately that's what it is. It's also going to be tough. These guys have obviously been through some hard stuff and have trained and trained out of time. We were in the range downstairs earlier, and everyone got 5 shots. Whoa, that was it's amazing. 5 shots with an automatic weapon. And I said to these, how many rounds would you typically put down range? They said, maybe 2,000. 2,000 a day. That's training. That's preparation. And so young men need to be equipped and offered these experiential opportunities to discover that they have what it takes, because that is the rite of passage. Once they've experienced that, no one can ever tell them that they don't have what it takes. No one can ever tell them that they are not a man, they don't fit in, they don't belong, because they will have experienced differently. And when we experience, when we're tested, and we come through that test, that challenge, we do hard things, we face adversity, and we prevail, then there's peace. Because I've been tested. I made it. I know that I belong. I know that I have what it takes. I'm seen and loved. I'm validated. I don't have to prove it. Nothing to fear, nothing to hide, nothing to prove. So it's the rite of passage. That's what men need. We've lost the rite of passage. The tribes that would go and kill a lion and then come back wearing the claws around your neck, we can all see the claws. There goes the man. We've lost that now. Modern society, we don't have a rite of passage. And so we've got 40-year-old men walking around with fancy cars and fancy clothes and trying to prove and pretend and pose and act. And this is what men do. So I suppose I should put on a jacket because I'm going to be talking to men. And so, but I don't feel like a man because I've never been tested. I'm not proven. And so we got to give that rite of passage back. In the front there, so yes, sir.
Yeah, how's it, guys? Thanks for the chat. I just wanted to ask, and I guess it's across the full spectrum there, is how do you always perform at your best without worrying about the consequences of making a mistake? I think that's common across business, sports, rugby, as well. If Andre missed that kick, even though he went through the motions, what's the impact, and how do you stay at that level to make sure that you don't slip up?
So Dennis, maybe you can answer that because you're still going out there, offering your life, getting into those dangerous situations.
Yeah, so one of the things that you said is, was fear. You said, in fear that I missed the kick, in fear that I, whatever. And don't accomplish the task. If you let fear drive you, then you'll have your feet in concrete. Instead, drive till, a common saying that is cliche in special operations is you don't practice until you get it right. You practice until you can't get it wrong. You continue to do that same exact thing. And there's another cliche saying. It says that practice doesn't make perfect. Perfect practice makes perfect. Otherwise, you're just training scars. So if you continue with what I said about doing hard things, building resiliency constantly, life is, and this is the sad part, life is false peak after false peak after false peak. Right when you think you made it, no, there's another large mountain. And if that means, getting a new job, your wife or girlfriend or whoever just left you, and maybe times are tough or whatever, that's just another peak that you have to climb, and you will get to the top. But it's a false summit. So keep doing these hard things. Keep trying. If it's in business, or a project or whatever, you're chipping away, giving your full attention and max, because your life develops around that. Don't let, and as you do that, and as, like I said, that sword, you're beating mental toughness, and emotional, spiritual, and everything of resiliency. You're able to not let fear do that. Focus on the task at hand. So there's maybe this won't see well with some of you guys, but there's an analogy of skydiving. So in skydiving or free falling, you're free falling, and they say in motorcycle it's the same way. Where your eyes go, your body follows. So if your eyes are fixed on fear and failing, your body will follow. Keep doing the repetitions. Keep doing the hard thing. All else is white noise, and keep focusing on the task at hand. And all else is just excuses. You have to nip those in the butt immediately and keep chipping away slowly. Because how do you scale mountaintops? Step by step by step until you're ultimately summited at the top. So that's what I've seen, and that's what I highly promote everyone to do, is not focus on what if I miss or whatever, because most chances are actually missed because we don't step up to the person that God created us to be, that man, that woman, that leader, whoever, as Matt was saying, that you were destined to be. So.
Very good. Thank you. Sorry, just quickly. So I know there's a lot of analogies about the Springboks and that kind of thing. Don't know if you guys have been following the news, but Zimbabwe just qualified for the World Cup. I think the three of us are going to come out of retirement. So the Springboks better watch their back, because there's 3 Zimbabwe.
There's not enough tape to hold together for that.
Guys, we really wish that there was way more time, because we got so much from that conversation in such little time. So I think on behalf of everyone, just want to thank you guys once again for your time. It was really, really special learning from you guys. And for everyone here, I can say that going forward, we certainly are planning on bringing the guys back and doing a few more of these clinics, except this time when they come, they won't have a flight to run to. So we certainly plan it in a way that there is more than enough time, and there will be 100 rounds, not just 5. So guys, thank you so much for your time. And to everyone, you can still hang around, do some networking, but otherwise the official program is finished. So thank you so much for coming through. We've really enjoyed having you guys here, and thanks again.